Is your spouse cheating? In this video, I'm going to give you the most common signs that your spouse might be cheating. And I'm going to talk to you about, if you believe that they are, what you should do. I have heard so many stories of infidelity. I work with couples who deal with betrayal, couples who are not faithful to each other. I do intakes and I do therapy sessions and I hear about infidelity. I know what it looks like. I know what happens when people cheat and how they show up in their relationships. So I'm going to talk to you about the most common things that a partner will do if they are cheating and how you can pick up on those signs. Are you pretty certain that they are cheating, but you don't know how to confront it? I'm going to also help you know how to confront it and how to actually have hard conversations with your spouse about whether they're cheating or not. First off, I want you to ask yourself, why are you even suspicious in the first place? Is it your gut telling you something? Or have you actually seen signs of it, but you just don't want to face the reality of it? One or the other could be happening. Maybe it's just your past trauma and it has nothing to do with your partner and they're not cheating on you, but you're just scared that they are because you've experienced some bad things in the past. But I'd encourage you to not discount the facts, not discount reality. Get as grounded as you can be in what is and look at it and face it. I've heard stories before of things like, yeah, my husband texts another woman all the time and goes to lunch with her and talks about sex all the time and sends pictures, but I don't think they're cheating. Well, she doesn't think they're cheating because she doesn't want to think that. If she looks at the facts, it looks very much like he's having an affair. Before I go any further, I want you to understand that I'm talking about both emotional affairs and full-fledged affairs in this video. So cheating is not just physical. It's not just about sex. You can cheat on your spouse by having an emotional affair with somebody other than your spouse. Okay, so I'm not saying these things to trigger you, but I am saying these things just for you to kind of look at it and wonder whether or not you're being cheated on. So here's the signs of a partner who's having an affair. They are spending a lot of time on their phone and they're being very protective of their phone. When you pick it up or when you get close to it, they try to make sure that you can't get in, that you can't see anything. That's a good sign that there's something that they're hiding, that there's something that they don't want you to see. I could hand my phone to my wife right now and I'd be perfectly comfortable. She could see anything on my phone at this point because I've got nothing to hide. Another thing that a cheater will do is justify relationships with the opposite sex. They'll do things like, it's okay that I went to lunch one-on-one with that person. We just talked about the weather. But why are you going to lunch one-on-one? They'll get mad and angry and accuse you of being jealous when you bring up things about that and when you question that so that you don't question it anymore. They'll push boundaries with the opposite sex. They'll be flirtatious. They'll say things and do things that you normally wouldn't do in a normal relationship. And you'll feel that energy. You'll notice that energy if your partner is willing to cheat or not. Another thing that a cheater will do is disconnect and become mean and volatile in your relationship. And the reason for this is they feel tons of guilt and shame. And they don't want to be vulnerable with you. They don't want to be intimate with you because they're stuck in so much self-loathing. And so intimacy can be very difficult. I'm not talking about sex. I'm talking about intimacy. I'm talking about real connection in the relationship. Think about it. If your partner has a lot of secrecy and he's hiding a lot of things or she's hiding a lot of things, then they're not going to want to be close to you. You'll see a lot of volatility with emotion. They'll be up and they'll be down. Think about it. It's kind of confusing. If you come to them and you say, I love you so much, and then 2 minutes later they're angry, you saying I love you might have triggered them because they feel so bad about what they've done. So it's really confusing their emotional responses to things because they're living in so much secrecy and lies. That's why they're showing up that way. Manipulation and gaslighting is another thing that happens. What that is when they gaslight you, they want you to feel like you're just a little bit crazy. They want you to feel like you're not okay. And they do that so that they can create a distraction about what they're actually doing. They don't want you to trust your gut. They don't want you to be grounded and confident in your reality. So if they can gaslight you and make you feel crazy, then they can get away with the affair. A cheater will play the victim and blame you for a lot of things. If they can act like they're being victimized by you, then they can justify their behaviors. They can justify their unfaithfulness. So it's common for a cheater to actually have a lot of resentment and play the victim a lot. Now I'm going to tell you how to confront them if you believe that they're cheating. But before I do, please remember to subscribe to my channel. I want to tell you a story about a guy named Ryan. I worked with him for a long time, and he had the sweetest wife. She was so humble and willing to work on herself. She was patient with him. She was kind. She took care of like a bunch of kids and was just hardworking and an excellent person and an excellent woman. And I worked with them for about 1.5 years. And he would come in weekly and he would act like she was a monster. He would manipulate her, gaslight her, tell her how horrible she was. And there was nothing that she could do to actually be okay in the relationship. And she couldn't figure it out. She was so confused. And it was crazy to me. After a while, after 1.5 years, he comes in and he says, you know what? I need to tell my wife something. I cheated on her 1.5 years ago with my best friend's wife. Now think about it. They've been coming into therapy trying to work on their relationship for 1.5 years, and he's been blaming her, gaslighting her, creating distractions, all because he didn't want to face the fact about what had actually happened. That 1.5 years did so much destruction to their relationship, they never recovered. All right, let's talk about what to do if you do suspect that they're cheating. So if a lot of the things that I've talked about are happening in your relationship, then some infidelity might be happening. So first off, let's talk about what not to do, okay? So if you want to talk to your spouse about cheating, don't approach them in an accusatory tone. Don't say to them, you did this, I know you did. Pull back a little bit and approach them in a soft tone, saying, I suspect this, or I feel this. This is what's coming up for me. And approach it that way. They're much more likely to stay in the conversation and hear you when you approach it with a soft approach. Now you might be thinking, I don't want to approach it with a soft approach because I'm angry. But you're more likely to get what you want if you can communicate effectively. Anger and blame will push them further away. Kindness and openness will actually get them to open up. Show up grounded, show up fact-based. So what I mean is when you bring things to their attention, if you say, I noticed that you went to lunch with that woman again. And he says, well, why do you care? Why are you so jealous? How come you're always complaining about this or that or whatever? Come back to the fact. I noticed that you went to lunch with that woman yesterday. That's what I noticed. You went to lunch with her last week as well. That's 2 weeks in a row. That's the facts. What he's trying to do when he blames you is get off of that topic. Bring it back, be a broken record, and focus on the facts. Trust your gut and your intuition. Listen to yourself. Be grounded. So if your gut is telling you something, don't talk yourself out of it. The cheater will try to talk you out of it. They'll try to get you uncentered and not grounded. But if you really feel like there's a truth there, then speak it and own it. Be honest and be vulnerable yourself. If you found some things that you're trying to hide from them, if you're not being open about things that you know, then that's not that helpful. Just tell them what you know, speak the facts to them, and be open about it. It doesn't help to be dishonest to get them to be honest. So be as honest as you possibly can be about what you know and how you're feeling. Remember, it's not about what they say back to you that matters, it's how they respond. What I mean by that is it's their energy. You could say to them, I'm sensing that there's something going on, that there's another relationship. And if they get angry, they get disgusted by you, they manipulate you, they gaslight you, their energy is saying, I got something to hide. If they get empathetic, if they can own what's happened, if they can be as honest as they possibly can be, you'll feel something different from them. So notice how you feel after the conversation. And that's where you'll start to really get some answers. If this video has been helpful and you do discover that you've been cheated on, then check out my other video, How to Heal If You've Been Cheated On.